Biggest loser number 5, and of all the companies on this list, I think this is probably the best known. The company's market cap today is about $1.5 billion. I first picked it on May 25th of 2016 at $14.06. The stock is down to 6 today from 14 to 6. The company is Fitbit. The ticker symbol is FIT. And yep, this stock did appear on my last year's list. Again, I keep these lists for the preceding 3 years. So if a company has a really bad first year, it'll come back for a couple of years on this annual Losers podcast that I do. But a fourth year, it won't show up. It'll drop off the list because I'm only looking backwards 3 years. So I will point out, when I presented Fitbit a year ago, it was down to $5.67. So it's actually up to 6 now. It's up a little bit after a down year for the stock market. What's a good lesson about Fitbit? Well, I know a lot of people wear a Fitbit. They appreciate how it helps them track their steps, in some cases perhaps their sleep, other aspects of their health. Being more attendant to health data is definitely one of the micro trends worth paying attention to. And when I had Mark Penn on this podcast doing micro trends in my Authors in August series last August, we talked in part about self-data lovers, a micro trend, you and me keeping track of our steps and a lot of other things through our iPhone these days. So Fitbit very much fits within that micro trend. But I think the lesson here is that hardware is hard, especially when you're competing with Apple. But so much of the world is moving toward becoming software. And a lot of the devices that we used to carry around, for example, like a watch or a GPS, or how about a camera? That's a much better example. And my talented producer, Rick Engdahl, who's a wonderful photographer, quickly furnished me that idea. But there are a lot of other examples of hardware that an iPhone these days has replaced. And frankly, Fitbit could be added to that list. Fitbit's not the only company operating in this space. It just happens to have been the leader before Apple with its Apple Watch showed up. So hardware can be a hard business. I've always appreciated that Fitbit has a lot of data, and I've always hoped that that would be a good reason to own the stock, because if you've used a Fitbit, then there's a lot of data that Fitbit has, and it can get you data insights about your own data. It can also aggregate populations of data and create lots of value, I had hoped. Turns out I wasn't very right, at least so far, about Fitbit. But competing against Apple is a big reason, I think, that Fitbit has been such an underperformer. I also want to point out 2 other quick points about this stock itself. The first is that this stock went down fast and hard, and that can happen especially with small cap companies. So in October of 2016, Fitbit was at $16 a share. It looked like it had been a good stock pick. Again, we picked it in May. It had gone from 14 up to 16 just half a year later. And then from October of 2016, 4 months later to January of 2017, it went from 16 to 6. Ouch. It lost more than half its value in just 4 months. That's micro lesson number 1, just about the stock. These small caps can go down hard and fast. Lesson number 2, sometimes it takes them a long time to come back. So now 2 years later, I just mentioned that was January of 2017. It was at 6. Guess where it is here in January of 2019? That's right. I already said it. It's at 6. For 2 years now, in a very tight band, Fitbit has just kind of bounced around 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6. It's been kind of dead money in a very good 2 years for the stock market, albeit a very poor fourth quarter of 2018 and kind of a ho-hum year overall, 2018. But Fitbit just kind of has sat there and done very little. So that excitement that you might have as a well-known company like Fitbit has a stock drop into the single digits, it hasn't been rewarded. That excitement has only consistently been disappointed by a company that's kind of having a hard time pulling itself up out of the morass of underperformance. So again, I hope for good things for Fitbit. Maybe it'll be one of those bounce back companies we talk about a year or 2 from now, but that's not usually where I put my new money. I don't like to throw, as the old saw goes, good money after bad. So there's a few thoughts from Fitbit.